Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe von SmallCap-Investor Talk. Und bei mir neue Firma, neue Idee, aber hat einen sehr, sehr bekannten Nachbarn und daher ist es eigentlich eine ganz spannende Sache. Michael Rowley ist CEO, President und Founder von Group 10 und er wird uns die Company jetzt kurz einmal vorstellen. Mike, thank you to have time. I said in my German introduction, that's our first interview, so it's a rough overview now from the company. But you have a very prominent neighbor from your projects, so
yes.
and that's very popular. So, but tell us the story. What is your 30 seconds elevator pitch?
This is exciting stuff. We are a small company, about 8 million market cap, with a gigantic neighbor, as you mentioned. It was a wonderful acquisition. It was one that was brought to us by a local. And much larger companies have asked us how we were able to secure basically half of the iconic Stillwater district in Montana. Highly prospective ground. The neighbor, of course, Sibanye, bought for Stillwater mines for $2.2 billion in 2017, which is right as we were making the acquisition. We're in the same geologic system as them. We've had high-grade nickel and copper mining on our ground historically. We're in the lower part of that layered sequence. Mm-hmm. We're also actually above them as well. We're focused in the lower portion where we see potential for Platte Reef-style deposits, and this is applying the parallels out of South Africa and the Bushveld complex, mm-hmm. where this is well known. And
Sibanye also coming from this area, so they know more.
That's right. Yes.
So.
Yeah. So that is the Group 10 pitch in a nutshell, is that we are the first to bring that land position together with the team and this database, which is fantastic, including a lot of drilling, and apply that Platte Reef model for bulk mineable polymetallic nickel, copper, palladium, platinum, rhodium, cobalt deposits in Montana.
And for all they are not seeing the back, the graph, they should look on the presentation. That's really exactly next to Stillwater in Sibanye. That really, that must be something strange when you not really find something.
There's a lot of mineral in the system. The JM Reef deposit, which they are mining in 3 active mines now, is over 80 million ounces at 16 grams per ton. Palladium platinum, the single richest PGE deposit in the world. Not many people know that's actually a copper nickel sulfide deposit. It's very low in copper nickel,
okay,
and very high in PGMs. So you've got copper, nickel, cobalt, and platinum group metals and gold throughout that complex.
Okay.
And we're above them and below them in the system, as we said earlier. We've got a reef type deposit above them called the Picket Pin. So that's narrower, higher grade. And then we've got all that basal zone underneath them, as you'll see in our figures, to over 200 drill holes across the 25-kilometer wide property. We have 12,000 meters of that core in our possession, and we have the qualified person that actually drilled it. Mm-hmm. This would be the 2001 to 2011 time frame. So we're very excited to bring that together with this expertise out of South Africa and the findings from Anglo's Mahalaquena mine, which is the lowest grade platinum producer in the world and the largest open pit platinum mine. And then Ivanhoe's Platte Reef deposit adjacent to that. Mm-hmm. This is the new model of platinum mining in the world. Unlike the high grade mines, which are shutting down, we've just heard layoffs at Lonmin and some at Anglo as well from the higher grade reef type deposits. They're getting deep and hot and expensive and dangerous. These Platte Reef style, where the mineralization is thicker and it's amenable to bulk mining, are mm-hmm. fantastically profitable, and they also bring technology metals into mm-hmm. the mix. So you're mining not only the platinum groups and rhodium, including rhodium, but copper, nickel, cobalt. Mm-hmm. So it's a true polymetallic.
Nickel and cobalt is also, and copper for sure is one of the interesting commodities.
Absolutely.
Base commodities. But what you're planning for this year? What you're doing now with this project, and what can the investors expect for the next 6 months?
It's going to be a very exciting year for us. We've done our compilation on the key target areas. You've seen that in the news releases. We've been moving west to east, revealing the results of our work on the ground last year and our compilation efforts. We are now working up our drill plans. It's a very big property. Thankfully, we have a terrific database that will let us move quickly in 3 areas. So the Chrome Mountain target area, the Camp Zone, and the Iron Mountain are the most advanced in terms of historic drilling. And in addition, we've got geophysics and soil data and rock data that further help us move quickly on the ground. To answer your question, we were planning drill programs to expand known mineralized zones in those areas. And nobody has systematically tested the conductive highs that are adjacent to these areas of drilling. So we've got known mineralization, long lengths, and at times, at places, even full-on flat reef grade, right? So that's open for expansion into the conductive highs is the point, and we expect to do that this season.
You bought this project 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What do you pay for this project?
It's an earn-in structure, typical for the industry. It's 3.6 million shares in 4 installments over 3 years, plus some cash contract commitment to the vendor, who happens to be a geophysicist and geologist.
But it, from my point of view, sounds that's really a cheap deal.
Yes.
Then when you have a lot of historical data there, so a lot of work, can you count it what the previous vendor or previous owner of this project spent to this project?
What we have is worth tens of millions of dollars. The total drill database is 28,000 meters, and we have 12,000 meters of that in our possession. There's a fantastic airborne survey, a full-on Fugro Digim survey across the entire complex. Great soil work by some of the past juniors that were there. A lot of value, and it's enabled us to move very quickly. It's what we do at Group 10, and we did it in Ontario and in the Yukon with our 2 other assets. And we're now looking at monetizing those, by the way, to focus on the Stillwater project. We've just announced a deal for one of our Yukon projects. We've got good interest in the Ontario asset, and I expect that we can move those along into good hands and focus on Stillwater. So that consolidation idea of acquiring good ground at inexpensive prices in bear market conditions is central to what we do.
So to summarize a little bit, that's mean you buy this project really cheap as an earn-in. You focus now on to drill some project where you really know or have historical work on it. You know exactly that there is something, so that you're coming up also with hopefully good results, that you get something for your money what you spend. Then this is very important. Then we are in bad shape. I think the market is really in bad shape.
Terrible.
It's terrible. And this is, be honest, it's nothing but what you can do. So that's in general. I think the general market for resources really in really bad shape. But other hand by side, this sounds really good. And your 2 other projects, what you have, you look that you can monetize this project, joint venture or whatever, so that you have the focus on the Stillwater stuff. So coming to the shareholder structure, how that looks like, and who are the biggest shareholder of the company?
We have 60 million shares out. Management and people close to us are perhaps 40% of that. I myself am a large shareholder. That's publicly reported. The rest of the board as well. We now have 3 institutional holders, so we've just in the past year sort of graduated, if you will, and we've been bringing in these institutional holders, 1 out of Europe, 1 out of States, and 1 out of Canada. And that will be expanding actually as we move through 2019. We have a significant number of warrants that are in the money as well and are callable, and that's worth mentioning. There's about $2.5 million there. That's been coming in and funding our effort through the past year. I think we brought almost $1 million in warrants in total to date.
How much cash you have at the moment?
Right now, about $250,000.
Okay. So, and the plans for this year, what you think, how much money you will spend? How much money?
Well, as you mentioned, the market is brutal, and that's why people should be considering these stocks. We're very oversold, and a number of companies, I think Group 10 is on that list, have excellent assets and good management and good prospects. To answer your question, we could do a small program this year if we have to. We will be detailing that in an upcoming news release here very shortly, next week or two. And we'll do a full disclosure on our plans, but we're excited. And we can scale the program to accommodate budget. I'd be happy to see perhaps a $2 million program, for example. And there are 3 operating mines right next door to us. Access is terrific. We can cover a lot of ground for not too much money there. It's good country to be in.
Michael, thank you for the first introduction to your company. Next time when I come over, hopefully we can discuss a little bit deeper, more news, more results, and hopefully we can talk that you have a higher share price and the people can make money out of your stock.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ja, es war die erste Einführung, die erste Beschreibung vom Unternehmen. Also das Wichtigste ist, Sie sind neben Sibanye Stillwater. Und das ist einer der größten oder der zweitgrößte Platin-Metall-Komplex, den es eigentlich gibt. Und Sie haben, wenn Sie sich die Grafik anschaut, sie liegen wirklich genau parallel zueinander. Also dass dort nichts ist, das ist nahezu unmöglich und die ganzen historischen Daten, was Sie haben, die sind, allein 28.000 Bohrmeter haben Sie, was dort gebohrt worden ist. Geophysik ist gemacht worden. Die ganzen Oberflächenproben sind entnommen worden. Das sind Menge Daten, was dort vorhanden sind, und sie haben das wirklich für wirklich Peanuts gekriegt, die vor 2 Jahren. Und das ist auch ein Earn-in-Agreement, das heißt, sie müssen eigentlich viel Geld investieren, damit sie ihre Anteile erhöhen. Und das ist wirklich ein Cheap-Deal gewesen. Sie haben noch 2 andere Projekte, die wollen Sie jetzt quasi entweder verkaufen oder einen Joint Venture Partner reinnehmen, damit Sie sich auf das Stillwater-Projekt konzentrieren können. Und er plant natürlich Arbeiten für dieses Jahr, und zwar dort natürlich in Regionen, wo Sie am schnellsten auch Ergebnisse bekommen. Der Markt ist einfach zu schlecht, um Geld für irgendwelche Ideen zu verschwenden, sondern man muss sich konzentrieren auf Projekte, wo man schon weiß, dass dort eigentlich auch dann gute Ergebnisse kommen müssten, und Sie brauchen das, um dieses Projekt auch weiterzuentwickeln. Und das ist eigentlich genau die Richtung, wo das hingeht. Ich habe schon gesagt, der Markt ist in einer sehr schlechten Verfassung. Ich habe mir das auch noch bestätigt, dass es momentan extrem schwierig ist für Exploration. Viele Firmen sind, die super Projekte haben, absolut unterbewertet. Ich glaube, in keinem Gespräch, wo ich bis jetzt war, hat mir einer gesagt, der Markt ist super für einer. Es ist überall extrem großes Problem, was sie haben. Und überall ist es schwierig, momentan Geld aufzutreiben. Sie haben Warrants draußen, die im Geld sind, die kommen auch jetzt langsam rein. Und das ist auch, daraus soll ihre Explorationsprojekt für dieses Jahr finanziert werden. Was sie so planen, wird in den nächsten 1-2 Wochen in der Pressemeldung dementsprechend rauskommen. Ja, das war's. Ein Intro in die Group 10. Für mich extrem spannendes Projekt, muss ich schon ehrlicherweise sagen, weil es einfach die Wahrscheinlichkeit extrem hoch ist, dass dort was ist, und der Käufer liegt quasi auch schon daneben, weil der braucht dann, wenn dort seine Mine anfängt, von den Gehalten niedriger zu werden oder ausläuft, braucht er dort natürlich ein neues Projekt, und das liegt schon nebenbei, und das kann er sozusagen seine bestehende Infrastruktur dort nutzen. Ist natürlich ein logischer Käufer quasi. Ja, das war's von Group 10, Mai 2019, Vancouver. Tschüss und Baba. Thank you.
Danke.
Your German is perfect.